So yesterday I was having a 30 minutes interview call with a person called Shahar Bard, and he is a marketing expert. And it was a part of like one of the 30 minutes interview calls that I'm doing this month, where I solve people's top time management problems in 30 minutes of our interview call. And we were having a really nice discussion, and I got to learn a lot of things about marketing from him. So when we were approaching the discussion, in the end of it, I got to learn from him that the main productivity challenge that probably he is facing right now has to do with him realizing that he has been a control freak for some time, and he had realized that, and he was talking about it. So today I'm going to just talk about like what is the issue of being a control freak for entrepreneurs, because it's something like probably we have really felt at some point of our life, and something I would like to discuss about here. Now, what is this the whole thing of being a control freak? So he was telling me that he was trying he just had a talk with somebody who told him that he has been a control freak for some time, and that is something he was struggling with. Now, so here I'm going to just talk about what is being a control freak, and how to find some solution to it, to get around the problem. So here with the simple, as you can see, I have a simple yin yang symbol here, which is like a very famous symbol from the probably Tibetan Zen Buddhism. It's a Chinese symbol, I guess. Now, first, we are going to just try to understand what exact control is, what is being a control freak, and everything. So first, we are going to understand with the perspective of harmony. Now, this symbol, as you can see, the yin and yang, it in itself represents harmony. Okay, as you can see, harmony means balance. As you can see, the exact amount of white is proportioned by exact amount of black, and the black contains the amount of white the black contains, the exact amount of black is present in the white. So the symbol is like a representation of harmony, perfect balance working together. Now, if you just do a simple Google search, you will see the yin and yang. If you search for it, you will see the yin and yang description here, which says yin and yang can be thought of as complementary rather than opposing forces that interact to form a dynamic system in which the whole is greater than the assembled parts. Now, according to this philosophy, everything has both yin and yang aspects. For instance, shadow cannot exist without light. As you can see, the yin and yang is a perspective to understand systems, right? When you see that these two very opposite looking aspects, this is black with white, this is white with black, they're not actually opposing, but these are actually complementary. They're actually complementing them. Now, what is being complementary means that they are actually helping each other out in a dynamic system where the whole is creating the greater effect than its assembled parts. Right now, this is like a weird concept to get your mind around. Like, when something seems to be opposite to what you want, actually it can be that it is actually it can provide you actually the benefit that you really want, when something seems opposite to what you want. Now, this symbol represents that, exactly that. Now, what I mean here by this is, if you look at nature, you will see the harmony is present in nature like everywhere. Like, so if you see the structure that you put in your business. So here, this is a separation of the yin and yang aspects present in the entire universe. Maybe and some simple examples, like everything has this duality to it, which immediately at first sight looks opposing, but if you look deep into it, it actually forms a harmonic counterpart to the other, and helps keep the system in its proper function. If you see that in business, if you notice that if you have to put structure in your business, you will have to put processes, operation guidelines, you have to put a particular marketing process, or maybe you have to put in your personal life some sort of routine that you follow, a schedule. All these are structures that you put around, goals that you set. Everything is structure. Now you plan, but And then there's the yang aspect of the structure is function. That is that if you do not function, if you do not implement the structure that you have put, then the structure in itself does not create any result, right? So the function is like the structure is will only produce result if you implement your goals, if you follow through your routine, if you implement your marketing process, if you follow your business processes, client outreach processes, everything, then only the structure makes any kind of sense, it produces any result, right? So these two are opposite nature. Creating structure does not require you to implement anything. You can make plans all day, every day, and not take action. That is your structure. It's a different way of doing things. Creating plans is a mental thing, while function is direct execution. If you don't execute, nothing happens, right? They're the same opposite, but they are not. If you only balance it properly, then you get to get the result of the structure you have created. Now, suppose if you tip off the balance, right? Suppose you tip off the balance, then what happens? Suppose you create a structure and you make a big plan. Now it's such a big plan that you cannot execute. Okay, that's impossible. Like you cannot execute 80% of it. It's like it's such a massive goal you have set. Okay, or you have created such a strict routine for yourself that you cannot follow through. Now what is the point of it? You have tipped the balance. Now things are not in harmony. Now that is where the structure is falling out and you're not able to make function. Now they look like opposites. Oh man, you have like too much routines, too much discipline, and everything. People just start talking like that. It's because they cannot see that you're not getting any result. They can see that you're not getting any result, right? What is the point of that, right? Now, if you tip off the yang aspect, if you tip off the function, suppose you do not have enough plan and you're taking action randomly, maybe you get immediate result, but it cannot ever be consistent, right? Someday you do real good amount of works, like you do like 12-hour work. The next day you get tired and it drops to like 4 or 5 hours. The next day you take a holiday, and and it's on and off, on and off. So that is when what happens when you tip off the function, all right? So you're working too much on the function. So if you see what happened when you try to control one area without having a equal amount of control over the other area, you tip off the balance of the yin yang, which is the optimum, which the yin yang kind of like represent the optimum amount of control you need to put in any system. If you tip off the control, if you try to control one area more than the other, you will break the balance and the system will not produce the result. Okay, now the yin yang is present in every aspect of the entire universe. As you can see, the night is compensated by the day, right? So in many parts of the planet where the equal amount of night time and equal amount of daytime is more or less present over the entire year, but there are certain countries where for the summer maybe they have more amount of day and less night, and for winter they have less amount of day and more night time. And you see it also get balanced, maybe at different time of the year, but it does get balanced. So we have cold and hot, earth and sky, moon and sun, slow and fast, humidity and dryness, everything gets balanced in the universe. Death and birth, fluid and energy, calm and expressive. You see, now we are going to understand control with the perspective of gardening. Now gardening is like, if you have ever seen people work with plants and trees, flowers and things. If you see, there is this person who is trying to water his garden. Now these are some of the plants. Now in order to properly bloom and cultivate this plant require only an optimum amount of water only. Okay, now suppose this guy becomes a control freak. Now suppose this guy thinks and assumes that if I water 24/7, okay, my plants are going to become super healthy, fit, and grow fastest than any other person in planet Earth. Okay, what would happen, you think? What would happen is probably the plant is going to die. Okay, if they water it 24/7, the plant is going to die, is because it does not need that amount of water. It's okay. But suppose this guy tip off the other area. If they say like, okay, the plant has roots and everything, it has soil, the soil has water, why I don't just let the plant do its own thing? I won't water, I don't need to water it at all. The plant would find its water on its own, right? what would happen, do you think? If probably the plant would find some water, but it won't be the most healthiest plant on in the garden, right? So you see, even in gardening, there is this balance thing. If you do not balance out the yin and yang, find out the optimum amount of thing that you need to do, then you are going to tip off and you are not going to get results. So in business, what happens is most of the time, as entrepreneurs, we try to control every aspect of the business. Okay, from we try to let's say, for I give you an example, you're creating a marketing outreach process, you are testing something out, and you do the outreach, you lay out the plan, and you execute it. After executing it, what if you try to micromanage it, like whatever, and you just sit in front of your computer, try to see like how many people are responding, how many comments are coming, and you do not sleep, you do not eat, you're just trying to see like exactly what happens at what point of time, you know, then what you're going to do is you're going to burn yourself out, and that is not actually helping you out at all in getting the result. So you have to understand what is the exact optimum amount of work you have to put in, after which you have to let go. So it's just like that. You have to put the water on the plant and you just go. You don't do anything, you don't mess around with it, don't do anything. The plant will do its job now. So you have to understand what you have to do and what you don't have to do. If you do more than what needs to be done, you will actually do yourself harm. Right? So that is one very, very important aspect, so that you don't become a control freak. So see, in business, we are in businesses because we want control in our lives, right? Because some point of time we have understood that we want some more control. Just a second, I'll just reduce this. Yeah. And that is why we came in business, so that we have more control over our finances, we have more control over our, the things that we want to do, things that we love to do, more control over our time. But if we try to just control every part of the business, every single micro component thing, and do not learn the art of letting go, then not only we will burn ourselves out and become totally neurotic, but we will also not get results. And getting results would seem like too much hard work, because we are wasting our time doing the thing that does not need to be done, like watering too much water on the plant, right? Only if you understand the optimum amount of work that you have to do and let go and chill, you will have a blooming plant, and it won't take too much work, and you'll get results, and you'd enjoy the process, and you'd love to be in business. Otherwise business would become work and you'd hate it. So now here is another example. If you can see here, this is another yin yang example. Here you can see that the different components of business and their different counterparts. It's like lead generation and product. So generation, like lead generation. Lead generation is like an activity which requires outdoor activity, outreach activity, talking with people. Whereas product building is an indoor activity. You close down, shut down by yourself with your team, you create your product. Now suppose you tip off the balance. Suppose you just do lead generation and no product building. You might get some client, but when they ask for the product that will solve their problem, won't have a quality product to sell them, and after a while, when they don't get results from low quality product, they're going to go away. What is the point of lead generation then if you don't have a product? Second, if you tip off the product side, if you build too much on the product end, create a massive product, but you have not done customer acquisition, who are you going to sell to? What problem it is going to solve? A product which does not have any customer. So you have to balance out lead generation with product building, otherwise nothing happens, right? Simply, and if you can see here, the discovery and market, you need to discover markets to sell to, but you also have to put work on discovery, how to find them. And only if you discover market, the market has any value, otherwise market is just there, right? Receptive, you have to be receptive to new ideas, but you also have to be aggressive enough to put front your own ideas in your own life and tell them to others. Because if you just you're a receptive mode and you don't do anything, don't implement, then nothing happens, right? So you should also have ideas that you are playing with in your mind, but you should also implement it so that you can find growth, right? So this is the whole yin yang thing again. Now this is Another simple example of how many counter components can be there in a business, like if you're an entrepreneur, you will notice that you need to have authority so that people listen to you, your customer listen to you, everybody listens to you, but you need to give them independence. It's because if you don't give them independence, it's just like putting too much water on the plant. It will break down. People won't listen to you. If you try to make them listen to everything which does not need to be done, people will shut you off. And that is why you need to let go. You need to, once you have said them, you have said, let go, right? Organization, individual. Like if you are you're creating an organization which is a component of many individuals, you also need to focus on the individual aspect. Simply goes the producer, client, qualitative and quantitative work, change and continuity, innovation and stability, long-term and short-term goal setting, and your investment in growth versus harvest dividends. These are some examples. Now, so if you have noticed that the whole thing has to boil down to this yin and yang thing, that if you are facing control issues, the one thing that you have to just do is just introspect, like what are you trying to control, and then ask yourself, like, is it controllable? No, not that, sorry. The first thing you have to ask is that, is it even important and relevant for achieving your business goal, that which you're trying to control, for which you're freaking out and everything? Okay, is that even important? First, let's have that clarity on that. If it's something relevant, find out, is it even controllable or not? Most of the time, if you have to do something to control other people, I realize that you cannot control other people 100%. It's in their hands, not in your hands, right? So if it requires controlling other people, find out whether it's even worth it or not. Okay, if it is not worth it, don't do it. If it needs to be done, you can create a process by which you can achieve that kind of control that you want to put. Most of the time, you'll find out in the first question that the thing that you are obsessing over and getting neurotic over is not something even worth controlling. Maybe it's not going to produce directly some results that you are trying to achieve, the goal that you want to achieve. It's just something that came up and you just gave your attention to it, and that's why it became big. Okay, so most of the time you will just let go immediately after the first question, like, what am I trying to control here? Okay, is that even important? Most of the time, if you just let go, half of the job is done, right? But if there is something that you want to control, do create a process so that it could be possible to control. And most of the time you will realize that, if, again, as I said, that if you have to control something, you have to realize there will be a certain component that you cannot control over it. What would that be? And once you realize what that is, you have to let go, because that would be the wisest thing to do. Okay, so I hope that this video has helped you and in some way. If you are watching this in my YouTube channel, Haphazard Productivity, or if you're watching in my some other platform, do leave a comment so that I know that it has created some value, and I would probably continue creating such content. So thank you so much for listening to me. Bye bye.